Welcome everyone to Hearts with Nate Frazier here on this Saturday afternoon, 12 noon. I would like to welcome everybody here with me on today on this segment of Heart to Hearts with Nate Frazier. I have with me today Jack Foster. We're going to have a very powerful conversation today dealing with Blue Lives and Black Lives Matter. Jack Foster is glad to have you here on Heart to Heart with Nate Frazier. Before we go into this conversation, tell us a little bit about who Jack Foster is.
Well, thank you for the introduction. Jack Foster. I'm a police officer, detective with the Ann Arbor Police Department. I've been in law enforcement for over 25 years now. I started in 1993. And from Michigan. Went to college down at Tennessee State University.
Okay.
So I have a background in psychology and mathematics.
All right.
So pretty much I'm just average guy, just pay my bills, take care of my family, man. So
okay. Excellent. Special. All right. Okay. Thank you. I want to open up with Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matters. Now, we know all lives matter at the end of the day. All lives matter. But my question to you, do Black Lives matter to Blue Lives? And before we go into this, I just want everyone to know this is not about bashing the police. This is not about talking about all police officers are bad police officers. This is not what this segment is about. It's about Blue Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. But the reality of it is, do Black Lives Matter to Blue Lives? And I asked you that question because from 2015 to now present 2018, the use of lethal force on unarmed blacks is outrageous.
Right.
Because because blacks made up 13% of the population. However, in 2015, they accounted for 26% of those that were killed by police in 2016.
Right.
24% in 2017, 23% of all those killed by police.
Right.
And let me say this. As of the end of June 2018, of the 102 black individuals killed by police, 11 were completely unarmed.
Right.
Do Black Lives matter to Blue Lives?
Well, given your statistical data that you collected, statistically it may not support that.
Right.
But I think I can speak from my angle. I can't speak for the million police officers. You got to think about it. It's nearly 1 million police officers in the United States of America.
Okay.
With nearly 350 million Americans. So it's a lot of police officers, a lot of people. So there's no way I can represent any of those other than myself.
Exactly.
So of course, as a black person, of course, Black Lives Matter. I'm black.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I come from a black community.
Yes.
I was a black person before I became a police officer.
Exactly.
I went to a historically black college.
Yes.
Pledged a black fraternity. So of course, for me, it does matter. I can't speak for the million of others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, from being in law enforcement 25 years, from my perception, would I think majority of police officers care about the black community? Absolutely. Because I think that number would be much higher. Because you got to think about it. Out of 1 million, police officers, if police officers didn't care about the black community, that means we would have 1 million shootings.
Exactly.
Killing people, because it's 1 million police officers.
Yes.
So all of them should be doing it, right?
Yes.
So all of them are not doing it.
Right.
So that right there, statistically, will almost prove that all are not trying to shoot unarmed black people. But you do have that segment that I think, just from looking at YouTube videos and seeing things on the news, that their perception of an incident is how they perceive the threat, and that's what's making them, shoot. Here again, that's an individual. That's an individual's perception of an issue. Like I may come on the scene with something, I'm going to perceive it totally different from you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So for the next person, they might be afraid, scared. And that's why we hear a lot of scripted language. And I was afraid for my safety. I was scared.
Yes.
But the next officer might not be scared.
Okay. But don't that come through with training though?
It does. It should. Training only can do but so much, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
People, I think, especially in a stressful situation, are really going to fall back on what they believe.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like getting somebody that just innately have just a different type of personality, different type of resolve versus the next person. You can be trained, you can be trained up, you can be coached up.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We see that in NFL.
Right.
They all have good coaches, but what differentiates that one person just has that, you know what I'm saying, that ability just to get free, to get loose, to make tackles. What makes that person different? But that's that internally.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's that person's own will. So, and looking at that, training is huge, and we need more training. And it's evident when you're seeing people shooting people unarmed, they definitely needed more training. You know what I mean? But I think, the real thing is, how do you recognize that person? Because everyone's not going through that stressful situation every single day.
Gotcha.
So how do you recognize somebody that's going to be put in that stressful situation? How do you recognize how they're going to respond? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's almost like in wartime. How's that soldier going to respond when we dropped in the middle of, a war zone?
No matter how hard you train.
They all went to Fort Benning, Fort this, Fort that. They did all that stuff. How you going to respond now you in them trenches?
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Some people going to freeze up. Other folks are not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a sliding scale. You really don't know
No, right.
how somebody. So going back to what you're talking about with training, I'll even go a step further back. The hiring process.
Okay.
How can we develop ways to screen out some of those people that are going to be placed into stressful situations, and they're just not going to respond like maybe other officers are going to respond?
Let me ask you one more question in regards to that. The hiring process. You know as well, you've been working in the public. That's what you do. You deal with the public for 25 years.
Right.
So you come across all different culture.
Yeah.
Race of people, whatever, gender or whatever.
Right.
Now I'm pretty sure you were trained to treat everybody equal.
Sure.
But that's not happening.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because now that's going to break this. It's the person. If you're a person who grew up in a diverse community, and you played sports with all different types of people, your perception of people is going to be totally different than somebody who didn't grow up in a well-diverse community.
Okay.
And so now, even though you went to an academy, even though you learn the laws, and even though you can say we're going to treat everybody the same, but if you're from some small city that's 99.9% whatever, and your only interaction with somebody different than you is what you see on YouTube or TV or Facebook or some social site, then I doubt that, in my opinion, you're really going to have a true understanding of that person's culture, where they're coming from, just their body language. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You can go to a basketball court in my old neighborhood, everybody cheering, it's hype, it's music, and everybody's getting along.
Right.
The next person is coming in like, oh my God, what's happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to be totally on guard.
Right.
But for us, we're like, it's nothing, everything's cool.
Right.
But they're just not used to it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
They don't have that. So is a police academy teaching that? Absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, that's almost
What
something.
about the psychological evaluation? Do they do a psychological evaluation?
They do. Everyone has to go through a psych eval. I think the psych eval is kind of general. Just making sure.
Do you think that need to be reviewed and?
That probably could be revisited in terms of looking at someone's. Now we're talking about dealing with stressful situations, particularly. And taking that slice of how instead of a general psychological.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
How can you now maybe go through other training and say, okay, we're going to look at this person under stress. So how's this person going to respond in a stressful situation? At night or whatever the case may be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Given their own fears.
Right.
That they have as a human being.
Yeah.
How do they overcome that? And given this stressful situation, I mean that could be something that could be adopted and could be looked at.
Excellent. My next question to you, the repetitive statement that is used by a lot of police officers to justify some of their misconduct. after, their own internal investigation, they always come back. The officer stated he was afraid for his life, and he or she have been placed on leave of absence with pay as we further investigate. Can you comment a little bit on that?
That is in dealing with the use of force and any type of use of force training, that is a part of that statute, part of that training, that you have to articulate some type of fear. So what happens is a person now, that's why you see that language over and over again, it's kind of scripted, and they're constantly talking about there was some fear for their safety or fear for somebody, because that's pretty much in the statute and how in the training.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You have to articulate that, and so that's why that's in there all the time. And so it sounds very scripted, which it, in my opinion, which it can be, because, you have to, in my opinion, were you really in fear, or are you just saying it? You know what I'm saying? And so that's why everyone keeps putting that out. Some fear for my safety, there's a fear for my safety. But, now going back to the statistic, you were talking about, well, how can you be fear for your safety? This person was unarmed.
Exactly.
So now that goes back to what I was saying about a person's perception. What's that perception, and that's that gray area where I would be in that situation, and maybe you're not afraid.
Exactly.
But we get this third person, they're just buckling. So how do we, as a society, how do we train that? How do you screen for that, for that person? Now, I don't care what it is, they're going to be afraid. The wind blows. They're going to be afraid. You know what I mean? The door open up for the wind. They're going to be scared. Possum across the street, they scared. I mean, how do you stop that? I don't know. I don't know how to stop a scared person. I really don't know.
It seems like, and to me, especially being a police officer and you scared, you're more dangerous to society.
Oh, absolutely.
Than society is a danger to you. Because this is what I have a problem with. How can you be afraid of someone that you already have tasered, handcuffed, or someone who have their hands up in the air in a don't shoot position, and you still get shot down?
Yeah.
How can you be afraid?
Well, people get tunnel vision. You can get locked. And here again, and if you have a perception of an incident that in your mind, you're going, oh, I'm in danger. You're almost kind of like just locked in, focused in. You almost have to take a deep breath and kind of look at the situation, reevaluate, like, okay, this person's hands is up. But you're in your mind kind of psyching yourself up, jacking yourself up. I'm in danger. And so it doesn't matter what this person's totally compliant. But you're psychologically changing, your own perception of that incident. And you see that.
That is, that's something.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
deep.
Something.
It's deep.
And I have to go backtrack to, that's why, I believe that training, the training, the police academy, the training, all the qualifications, they really need to be reviewed and looked at, because statistics, when you look at them, it shows that they're scared. But who are they really scared of? They're scared of the African American man. And that's where a lot of incidents happen. And this is what's going to lead me to the next question to you. Let's talk about routine traffic stops.
Let's talk about
it. Explain to the viewers the procedures of a routine traffic stop, and especially black men that are out here watching this today, what they can do to prevent any type of altercations that could cause death.
Ooh, that's a good question. Because I think it's almost humanly impossible to stop somebody who's homicidal. How do you stop that? Wow. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I can tell you, because we all pretty much, if your viewers are watching who are grown folks, I mean, a traffic stop should just be you pulled over for some violation. You know what I'm saying? You pick it, running speeding, stop sign violation, something. The typical response is the officer comes up, gives their name, who they are, and what department, should identify themselves, ask for your 3 articles, driver's license, proof of insurance, registration. You give them your articles. They either gonna write you a ticket or give you a warning. I mean, it should be as simple as that.
But it's not.
I know.
It's not. It's not.
I know it's not. I mean, and so, but I'm talking about that's what it should be.
It should be.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it should be. It should be
be
as simple as that. Here's my information. You gonna give me a ticket or you not? Thank you, and boom, I'm out. But it doesn't happen that way. So now you have all this other type of interaction that's happening.
There it is. Yeah.
And that's when I think, I would tell them to my own children, I will comply, and I won't get baited into all this scripted language.
Okay.
If you're just speeding, you're just speeding. Speeding doesn't mean you robbed a bank. Speeding
Right.
doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm late to work, man. I'm late for class, man. You do what you need to do. Let me move about my business. But don't get into all this type of baited language, because now that's what you're seeing, this baited language, and then now it escalates to someone now getting snatched at the car. All this other kind of stuff.
Exactly. So, what you said, that being baited.
I call it being baited.
Okay, and you find a lot of these incidents, get upset. Hey man, why am I being pulled over? I didn't do nothing. You racial profiling me, and that sometimes lead into that. I was talking to my son about this. My oldest son, he lives in Dearborn, and he said, Dad, when I get pulled over, or when I got pulled over, I didn't move. I just stood there. I put my hands on the steering wheel. The police officer asked me, proof of insurance, license, registration. He said first, do you want me to get it or do you want to get it? He said that's how much in fear that he is, because a lot of times too, you can just be a black man and of a big stature. Okay. And so automatically a lot of times they are intimidated by that also.
Right.
And so he just said, I don't want no problem. So he said, he asked the officer, well, do you want to get my license and registration? He's anything to keep confrontation down. Because some of them, and like you said, being baited, and some of them are from a routine traffic stop, getting pulled over, are looking for you to act a fool on.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, that goes with anything in life. You know what I'm saying? So you got to keep your cool. But I don't think there's anything wrong with, a person, telling where their articles are at. I think what that does is, to me, if I can speak for me, it kind of proves to the point that this person is non-confrontational. They want to comply. I think most police officers will appreciate that. I have my proof of insurance and the registration in the glove box. Officers, you want me to get it, or you want to get it?
Gotcha.
I mean, I think that person will be like, cool, okay, this person, is trying to work with me here.
Right.
No, you go ahead and get it, son. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now, the person's not, what you're trying to do is trying to lower some of that stress. You're trying to lower some of that anxiety from the officer's standpoint, to let you know, hey, dude, I'm not here for that.
Right.
You got me for speeding. Yeah, you got me. I'll take it in the barrel like everybody else.
Exactly.
You handle your business and let me move on and do my business. I mean, that's what it should be. So anything, I think, but the main point is, being non-confrontational. I truly support and respect people having their camera phones on.
Okay.
I think that's huge. I think we have proven a lot. Because let's be real about it. In our day, if we made a complaint, it was pretty much, well, we don't believe you.
Exactly.
Let's be real about it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We're like, hey, but now today with phones having camera capability, hit that record button. It proves to anybody who's going to look at it that the person being stopped is being polite. There was a case that just happened. It's in the South somewhere, and brother got pulled over. I can't remember what state it was in. And officer asked him to step out the car. The guy complied. Still had his phone rolling. Just for like a speeding.
Right.
It was on the freeway, so it was definitely like a highway patrol type situation. I want to say maybe out west or down south, but don't quote me on it. But anyway, the officer wanted to search his car. So when the guy came out, he closed the door and locked it. And told the officer, no, you can't search my car. He goes, you put me on for speeding. I complied. I gave you everything. You can't search my car.
Right.
So the officer now is going to this baited language with him, saying, well, since you don't want me to search your car voluntarily, that means you must have something in there. And the guy says, no, I don't. I'm just exercising my right.
Exactly.
From search and seizure. That's just my right.
Okay.
And the officer kept digging at him, called the canine unit. He had to wait, 15, 20 minutes for the canine to get there. So now you're detaining this person Now at this point, unlawfully, there's no reason. There's no need to detain this person no more. He's complied.
Right.
But you're going to stick it to him a little bit.
Just because he won't voluntarily let you search his car.
Right.
So every citizen have that right.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And here again, he just wanted to search it. Gotcha. He didn't see nothing. There was no 40 ounce on the,
right.
the city council.
That's open.
You know what I'm saying? There was no, marijuana smoke coming out, marijuana smoke coming out. I mean, he just wanted to search him. So anyway, once the K-9 did his thing, the one thing I liked about that story was, I think here again, it was a story that this person was innocent. You know, if you are a police officer, you want the truth. You want to be on the side of justice. You know what I'm saying? This person was an innocent person, and you have to be on that side. Okay? This man did nothing wrong. Write the man a ticket, let him be about his business.
Got you.
So anyway, the guy took that video, made his complaint, which he should have.
Okay.
Stayed calm the whole time.
Okay.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yes.
More than $93,000.
Wow.
I mean, so my thing is, as a black person, yeah, this is my profession. I love my profession, and most people do things right. But those out here clowning, hey man, stay calm. Hey, hit him in that pocket.
Exactly.
That'll stop.
There you go.
That will stop.
Y'all hear that? That's right.
It will stop.
That's right.
It will stop. People are like, whoa, you know what I mean? Let me just do my job. Hey, here's your ticket, man.
Gone.
I ain't going about your business.
Right. You
know
cost
what I
the
mean?
city $93,000 in a lawsuit just for a routine traffic stop when all you had to do, the man complied, let the man go.
Let the man go.
That is so true.
He did what he needed to do.
And that's why I want to ask you, do you think that the law enforcement around the country should review and reconsider police traffic stop?
Okay, explain that to me a little bit. What you mean by review?
Like the way the process of going about pulling people over, like what you just explained, what happened out of that. That need to be reviewed.
Yeah. Well, I think we have the laws already on the books. I think it has to be strengthened, meaning this. Okay. If you don't have the reasonable suspicion or even the probable cause, then what are you digging for?
Okay.
You know, almost like I said, you don't have the 40 ounce, and you don't have the marijuana, Cheech and Chong smoke coming out the van. I mean, you know what I mean? Right. You don't have all that to articulate. So what are you digging for?
Exactly.
Why are you holding this person longer than they need to be detained?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now that comes back to that perception. Are you thinking everyone's a drug dealer? Are you thinking everyone? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
When your training come in and say, hey, this person's just speeding. I mean, come on. You're on the freeway. I'm sure probably 80% of people were speeding.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what I mean?
And that's true. And like you said, it's like you get trained, you go through the process, and I want to go back to the training real quick. You get trained, you go through the process. But it's like when you out there in the field, so many have just like lost everything that they learned in training. And it's like what I'm seeing is more personal than it is professional.
Right.
It's like it's my job, but I'm gonna take my job and I'm gonna have some leverage with it, and I'm gonna do a little extra because I maybe don't like this person or that person.
Right.
So, or I'm stereotyping this type of race, so I'm gonna give it to them more than I would some other race. And it's like instead of being professional, a lot of police officers, what I see, I'm not saying all, but a lot, is personal.
Sure.
So you're out there with a gun in your hand, and it's personal.
Right.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. And that's where people have to be involved locally in their local, laws and their local city government, our local elections. We have our election coming up here November 7th. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be involved
November
6th. Being involved locally to vote for our local politicians. I mean, because that's who has the control. You see what I'm saying? So if you are in some area of the world or the country that now you have the control system is biased, then you probably, the police are probably going to be biased.
Exactly.
I mean, if the control system is, those in power are biased. Because the police department's only going to do is an extension of the community.
Wow.
I mean, so you have to get in there and vote. And thank you for correcting me on November 6th. And get out there and have people, make sure you put the right people in place So now, the laws and the rules of engagement are in place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And, because it's we the people. Always got to remember that. We the people control
the people.
Our community. So if you're tired of certain things, certain engagements, then that's when we the people step up and say, "No, we're tired of this."
Right. Get out and vote.
You need to do it this way. You get out and vote.
Exactly.
Tell those politicians, say, hey, change some of the laws and change some of the rules, and now things are done in a little different fashion.
Exactly. My next question to you is, and I want to ask you from a black man's perspective. Why do most police officers look at black men as a threat?
I wouldn't say most police officers.
Okay.
I wouldn't say most.
Okay.
I think what you're going to have is there's a few that we all see, every day.
What's the percentage you would say?
I would say 1% to 10%, depending upon the community you're in.
1% to 10%.
Depending upon, I would say it's a sliding scale because there's really no way to measure that.
Okay.
No one has done really a study.
All right.
But you're always going to have that one. I always say it's always that one.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Could there be more? Absolutely. Depending upon your area, depending upon the size, the department, something like that. But definitely, you have that percentage. I would say going from 1% to 10%, and then you're going to have that 80%. That I call it is the silent person.
Okay.
So what you see is the reason why a lot of people think it's all is because you might have 2 or 3 bad apples. You hear it all the time on the news. People say, "Oh, there's 2 or 3 bad apples." But how about, the 97 apples who are supposed to be good apples? Why aren't they speaking against the bad apples?
Got you.
Why aren't they vocal?
Yes.
So if you have 3 bad apples, why aren't the 97 good apples denouncing those 3 bad apples?
Gotcha.
And that's a problem with law enforcement. Pretty much people just stay quiet.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You call it whistleblower, you call it thin blue line. I don't care what you call it, but people stay quiet about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They really don't say, "No, man, you was wrong, dude. You need to pay for that."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't really call them out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You just kind of stay quiet, handle your business, and you just keep it moving.
Right.
But now society is going to look at them and go, "Wait a minute. Why aren't the police speaking out against this?"
Exactly.
And so that gives that perception, what you're saying,
All
of
right.
all. But it's not all. There's a certain segment, but what happens
Certain
is,
percentage.
but you just don't have that other side who just don't speak out against it. They pretty much, even when I'm watching, the various shootings that happen over the past, 5, 6 years, every year was having something. You hear law enforcement, they really, they always have this analyst that come on. And then they speak, they have good points, but they don't really put those individuals on blast. They pretty much just talk generic. It's a good profession. People lose their lives. Police officers lose their lives every day. They talk that, but people are like, "Yeah, we understand that," but we're talking about this person who has his hands up and got shot.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about right now.
Exactly.
And they're not really hitting it hard, just because I get it, because you don't want to buy into this. I'm not saying everyone hates the police. That people are against the police, but I think sometimes in my opinion, I think more people will have more respect when those bad apples are called out.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Instead of sugarcoat
or staying quiet.
Staying quiet.
Staying quiet is just as bad.
Bad, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Won't even speak out about it. Exactly. All right. Let's talk about racial profiling, because everyday racial profiling is almost a second nature now. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is watch the news and just about daily, you will see, police is called, really, a lot on black people for just some of the craziest reasons. Anything. Right. And it's something how, for that, a lot of police officers will show up in like 60 seconds flat. They're flat. They on the scene instantly.
Right.
We may call them for something. It takes 45 minutes to an hour for them to get there, and our situations are more serious, deadly than somebody barbecuing or on the golf course too long. Yeah. Shooting golf, or a student getting the police called on him, and he a student at Yale, but still because he's sleeping in the dorm studying, taking a little nap, get the police called on, and the police shows up. Let me hear your input on that.
Yeah, that's I think that's clear cut, man. What's happening with that? Here again, I would go back to we the people. We got to, people have the right to call the police. That's what people paying taxes. But if you're seeing someone now trying to racially profile, trying to lie on a person, then that's when that law needs to be strengthened.
Yes.
Where now that person who's calling the police on a person now can get some type of summons or something like that. You misusing the 911 system. Something can come out of that, so people just don't feel so free. I'm just gonna call the police on this person.
Yeah.
And now, the police come knocking on your door. You're like, man, what's the problem? Well, I got a complaint that you got weapons of mass destruction. So something crazy. You're like, what?
Right.
Dude, I got no weapons of mass destruction. Something crazy. You know what I'm saying? And now, but your neighbor you've been beefing with,
Exactly.
They the one who called on you and made up some lie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I got the SWAT team surrounding your house. You know what I'm saying? You're like, what? Something now has to be, this person now calling the police on some of these cases. But then also I look at too, the police have to know how to respond to that as well. Like I said, people have the right to call 911. We want to encourage people, if you see something suspicious, definitely call.
Yeah.
People,
but just to
people
be
get
calling them.
But just to be calling. But
because you're black, Hispanic, or whatever. Just to be calm. I really wonder if black folks call the police as much. Or white folks, would police respond the same way?
They'll respond. But here it is. I think the interaction will be different.
Okay.
I think every officer has an experience dealing with being called on someone. And I can remember back in the day when the DTE energy people used to come around your house, with that little meter reader.
Yeah.
Now I think it's all pretty much done internally. They don't come out actually physically read the meters. But you used to get called all the time. This is Sky behind houses. You pull up, it's a big DTE energy truck.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, okay. They approach the guy, he just got his headphones on, kind of walk, doesn't look like a criminal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He looks like he's doing something.
Right.
And you make your approach, hey, be respectful. They're like, yeah, I understand. And identifying with their company ID, yep, here it is, and you go about your business. But I think most people, in my opinion, I can't speak for everyone, bro.
Okay.
But in my opinion, if I was approached, I'm saying, yeah, I got a disturbance, I just want everything's good, and the police officer, I wouldn't really get offended by that. That's me personally.
Gotcha.
They're just doing their job, but it's all that extra.
All that extra stuff, exactly.
But now, like, man, here it comes. They're going to try to find something on me. They're going to try to find some way to write me a ticket, take me to jail. And that's the reason why they're calling the police on people.
Gotcha.
Because they're trying to roll the dice. We're going to get that right officer who's going to take nothing and make nothing into something. Take somebody to jail for something.
Something, right.
For something.
Right.
Is that a beer over there? Is that yours?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you're getting arrested.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're in the park with a beer. You know what I mean? And they're going to try to find something, and that's why they keep rolling. But luckily, in my opinion, especially the park ones, I think the officers probably handled it all right. They had other citizens that got involved. And started chastising them. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
What are you doing, lady? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now citizens are starting to see this. And see this, it's unfair. It's unwarranted.
And I see that from a lot of citizens. They say
they're stepping
nonsense.
Up. Knock it off.
It's crazy. Come on.
Knock it off. And so now, hopefully they'll start losing steam with all this. It's called people on, apartment patties and all that. You live here? Yeah, I live here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I got the King 5 and whatnot, and luckily he had his camera and had it all recorded. She lost her job. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You got to do it today, man. You got these people that's out there. So how do you stop that? I don't know. Right. That's psychological, man.
Right.
How do you stop that? I don't know how to stop that. I really don't.
And before I go into this next question, I want to piggyback on. Remember the police officer, the lady police officer that walked into the wrong apartment?
Oh, that's huge.
Killed the man.
Yeah, Steve.
They come back after investigating, and they tried to find any and everything. All they could find was weed in his apartment. Just to have something bad to say about him, to try to make him look bad.
Yeah.
See, this is why it's hard. People have a hard time in trusting law enforcement and trusting the system. And we get ready to go and talk about this, but that situation, what's your perspective of that?
Yeah, man. I was, and looking at that, I'm just like everybody else. You getting bits and pieces on the news. Things are not really clear.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it came out clear. Cut what happened. It was one story that came out that she mistakenly walked in the wrong apartment. Then some other things came out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all this bits and pieces. And I think that's where, in my personal opinion, that's where transparency needs to come out in the police department.
Okay.
Try to be as transparent as humanly possible. I understand you do an investigation, so certain things you want to, keep private until the investigation comes out. But certain things has to be, especially as officer involved, you need transparency because that's scary. Police officer, even though that person was off duty, but still, somebody gonna walk up in your house and shoot you.
Exactly.
And then say you didn't respond to verbal commands. What verbal commands?
In their own apartment.
You don't have to do it. I'm in my own house. I mean, so that should, in my opinion, that should have came out a little faster.
Yeah.
In terms of, because now here comes all the skepticism because people don't know.
Exactly.
You're trying to cover it up.
Mm-hmm.
Now a week later, now you found weed in this apartment. What is that about? Was she an undercover drug officer? I mean, what are you trying to say?
Exactly.
I don't care what he had in this apartment.
Right.
This man was in his apartment.
That's right.
So that I wouldn't, that was something they have to. That's damage control. They got to look at their information, people, and how to disseminate information. But I think, and here I don't know. Is she in jail now? I haven't even followed. They don't really talk about it that much no more.
I'm not for sure, but I think they have followed.
We don't even know. I mean,
exactly.
It's kind of hush hush.
That's exactly. That's the sad part about it, and that's why I want to talk about the blue wall of silence.
Yeah.
Okay, that exists among police officers. Not to report on a colleague's errors, misconducts, or crimes, including police brutality, also known as the Blue Code or the Blue Shield, and that was first triggered in New York.
Mm-hmm. 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 So you want to know, is that culture real?
Oh, I know it's real. Okay. I know the culture is real. I just want to know, what do you think about it from your personal perspective, not.
Yeah, I mean, it go two ways. I mean, people have, like any industry, people gonna have buddies. We live here in Michigan. We got the automobile plants. You gonna have people work on the line. They're all friends. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So you gonna have that aspect. But in terms of if you see somebody doing something wrong, I mean, that's why most workplaces have that Whistleblowers Act, to protect those employees. If you see something that's illegal, you should have, avenues where people now can report it without being retaliated against. I don't care what industry you're on.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We can switch this now. Just go to the automobile industry. Tell them when your coworkers, see what's going to happen to you when you come to work the next day. I mean, you know what I mean?
Wow.
I mean, you know what I mean? Or any
so it's
job.
Any job. So it's like no snitching.
Right.
No snitching. But police tell us, neighbors, if you see anything, if you know anything, call the police. Call the police. But
they don't do it.
Y'all gotta speak up.
Yeah.
But they they don't. Don't you think that? I ain't gonna say don't you think that right there is a double standard in itself.
Absolutely, is a double standard. I mean, that's where you need to absolutely. But that's where
we can snitch on each other.
Right. But here again,
okay.
I mean, it all depends. I think the police departments are doing better by getting exposing some of those bad apples. But birds of a feather flock together.
Gotcha.
So what happens is, if you have an apartment and if you have bad apples, they tend to stick together.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the others might not even know what dirt they're doing.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And so now it becomes their story against somebody else's story.
Okay.
And so you really don't know. But here's the kryptonite to that. Now with camera phones.
Gotcha.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or phones with camera systems on it. Now you're recording what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So when that person get the lying, and now here comes that video.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That
tells everything.
That tells everything.
And I notice a lot of people are really using their camera phones too, even when they get pulled over or whatever, some type of police confrontation, whatever. People recording it now, and that's a good thing because a lot of times, officers, the very few percentage in their misconduct have gotten away, never got reprimanded about it. And as you said back in the day, they didn't have all that.
Yeah.
So if we say, well, so-and-so did, you might as well just shut it down.
Shut it down.
They instantly shut you down because it was that protection of law enforcement. Just like I said, I hear the Chief of Police of Detroit, Craig, he's always on the news, and I always hear him say, speak out, speak out,
That's
speak
right.
out. But even in their department, I've seen how they didn't cover up so much stuff from, just a lot of stuff they have covered up. My thing is this: if you're out here as police officers and you're to protect the citizens, then that's what we must do. If you want us to do better, and we need to do better in our communities, in our neighborhoods, and begin to look out for each other, but we got to know we can trust y'all also.
Yeah, so what you're saying is like lead by example.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, and people should.
Mm-hmm.
People should. I mean, you're given a certain responsibility by the people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
It's by the people, remember.
That's right.
I mean, and
By
so
the people,
that's
for the
something
people.
that's right, and that's something that here again the lawmakers and those who are in the governmental control system of your area has to reinforce that with the police. Make sure we're gonna hold you accountable.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to put that type of integrity, back into that department and maintain that integrity in that department, and encourage individuals to speak out when they see wrong and discourage wrong behavior. You know what I'm saying? But that leadership comes from the top down.
That's right.
Okay?
So you're only good as your leader.
That's right. So you got to have the right leadership from your city, people down to the chiefs, people down to the captains and lieutenants, and they'll keep you down. You got to have that good leadership, man. I mean, and then you'll start to weed out some of these problems that we're seeing. You know what I mean? And I'm glad you kind of brought this up. I was thinking about Ferguson.
Yes.
What happened? Their whole issue with Ferguson, when I looked at that was a leadership issue.
Yes.
From their government.
Mm-hmm.
The mayors are all the way down. You've seen corruption and racism and people complaining for years about that. Community.
Exactly.
That was not something new.
No.
That was some years of problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's a leadership. And then now you just need that one spark. You know what I'm saying? And they had that one spark. But that was years of people complaining about brutality and racism and this and that. No one had the courage to come in and clean it up. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's
now,
sad.
boom, now we have this issue.
And that's sad.
That is sad. Years of issues.
Years of issues, exactly.
Years.
Also, too, I want to mention about when all those police shootings were going on. I think it was last year or the year before. I believe it was last year when all those police shootings was going on. The guy in Minnesota got shot in front of his family, and just a lot of things that was just awful that was going on. And then remember the sniper that got on, I think he was in Texas, that got on top of the roof, and he killed a couple of snipers, and they killed 5 police officers.
Yeah.
Just, do you think that come from that maybe a guy or two said, you know what, this is just terrible, and it brought so much hatred and revenge toward police, because then maybe that guy looked at the fact that, hey, they're taking out us, so it's time to take out a few of them, and you think that led to that. And not only that, but you're looking at innocent, also good police officers that lost their life due to a couple of bad officers. That's why I feel that the law enforcement and people that are here, you got to go back and really look at things, because you got downright good police officers out here. I know for myself, there's been times I've been driving dirty, and a police officer had pulled me over, and he said I was in compliance, and he was like, okay, I'm not going to mess with you this time, but don't do that no more, Mr. Frazier, or, don't drive like that no more. And I'm talking about Pittsfield. We know they don't have a good name for racism, and just a lot of police officers. So all of them are not bad. Like you said, it's that little percentage, but just that little percentage can make it bad for the whole police officers, to the point when they get up, they put on their uniform, they walk outside, they get in the streets, I'm pretty sure they're afraid because of all the drama and the stuff that's going on. They don't know if I do make a routine traffic stop, is my life at stake because of the wrong that's going on. And do you think that led to that retaliation?
I'm not sure what led to that retaliation.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I mean,
just by my speculation.
But in looking at it, you have to be real too to certain communities. Certain communities have long-lasting problems.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Here in Michigan, especially in this area, I don't really see these long-lasting issues. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So certain areas are healthier.
Okay.
Okay, let's be real about it.
Okay.
There are healthier areas.
Okay.
And then there's areas that they've been having problems for years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, could that be? Yeah, it could be. Could it be this person's just psychologically deranged?
Okay.
That could be too.
Right.
And it's looking for any excuse.
Right.
That could be. So it's really kind of hard. But to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, I think anytime you work for a police department or the city, I think it's up to the leadership to try to have good relationships with the community that they serve, because they are part of that community.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to have that leadership that's now going to put proper people in proper areas, and also want to piggyback on, when I first came into law enforcement, there was a lot of money that was put into law enforcement, police departments for community policing.
Okay.
And so I came underneath that more of that community policing umbrella. You have officers walking the beat, getting to know people, getting to know the kids.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You're there every day.
Developing that
You
relationship.
develop that relationship.
Yes.
So I know that kid.
Yeah.
I can call him.
That's
Come
what
on
we're
over
missing.
here, man. Come on over here. What you
Yeah,
doing?
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't all about, I need to take somebody to jail. No. It's
Right.
about education,
Yes.
lifting people up.
Excellent.
When I came into law enforcement, we weren't called law enforcement. We were called peace officers.
Peace officer.
When you start thinking back, we were peace officers.
Yes.
And somehow it changed to law enforcement.
Right.
We here to, take names and numbers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And before it was
Right.
like, we're here to maintain the peace.
Right.
So with a more of a, you know what I mean? So no, with a more of a community policing,
Right.
Now you can deploy those officers in those areas, get to know those kids, get to know those families, and you'll start to see, those officers start to see very clearly in a high crime area. Majority of people are just poor.
Gotcha.
It's here again, some of that small percentage is doing all the dirt.
Okay.
Let's be real about it, man.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
right, yeah.
You go to a party, everyone's not fighting. It's always that, here comes so-and-so.
Yeah.
They're going to spoil it for everybody.
Everybody.
You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying,
That's
man?
true, though.
Come on,
That's
man.
true.
Be real about it.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
everybody's not brawling. It's always those that, here comes so-and-so.
You know when they come.
Tear this up.
Right.
And it's always that small percentage that spoils it for everybody.
That's so true.
I mean, so that keeps happening, man. But if we can get back in that, but that costs money, though, that community policing. So what happened was, once in our recession years, throughout the mid-2000s, a lot of that got cut.
Wow. They need to get some money
Yeah.
and bring that back.
Yeah.
So, because the police don't have a relationship with the community anymore whatsoever.
Just driving around in
So it's
car.
like, here come the Popo,
Right.
here come 5-0,
Right.
and everybody up,
Right.
and it's just not good. But I wanna hear your input in this law enforcement. Do law enforcement look at African American as a threat to them? But the reality is law enforcement is a threat to African American, especially African American men. Here's why. Nearly every so-called race riot in the United States since 1935 have been sparkled by a police incident. And when young black men are 21 times more likely to be shot and killed by police than young white men.
Deep. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, one thing about history, it's the truth.
Don't lie.
It don't lie. That's the history.
What's your input on that as a black man?
Well, as a black, come on, I'm a historian with our people, man. This really comes from, the dilemma that this country had after the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay. After now you have freed slaves. The dilemma was, how can we control them?
Okay.
How can we control them? Are they going to retaliate? You know, here comes all these fears, you know. So now here comes all these laws to control black people. Here comes all these laws to keep black people criminals, because we know the 13th Amendment,
Yes.
you know, you're free except for a condition of punishment. So here comes all these laws that just for black folks, you know, to keep us in that system. You know what I'm saying? And you know, then you had movies like Birth of a Nation that shows the beady-eyed, you know, black person raping the virtuous white woman, and that, so it keeps that fear going.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But in looking at our history now, you're talking about that. But those communities that, you know, was given the playing field to prosper, they prospered. Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know, the Black Wall Street. But now you have this, you know, black people owning banks, prospering. They're getting too big now.
Gotcha.
Now here comes a lie that was made up. That now it's been, you know, we found out now that the lie that they made was debunked. It was all lies. No white man ever, no black man ever attacked no white woman. You know, it was just that mob to basically shut down the progress of that community.
Right, exactly.
Because they were getting bigger and
bigger. That's right.
It become the Black Wall Street. It was growing. So you try to think about it. If we had a Black Wall Street back in the 1920s that was now growing, well, now that banking system now can support this other black person. You want to start a business?
I got you. Right.
Now I can support you.
Right.
Now we can, you know, start building up our community.
Right.
But that was a fear. Because the fear was if the black community started to build up, what would they do?
Right.
Would they seek revenge for 245 years of cattle slavery?
Right.
Would they, you know, what would they do? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, underneath, remember, it was still under Jim Crow laws.
Right, that's right.
During that time. So it's always that fear. What would they do? Well, we know we wouldn't have done nothing but free ourselves and be more prosperous and have more prosperity in our community and raise our families and do like what most black folks doing today.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Majority of black folks is doing what I just said. It's going to work, feeding their family. That's what we would have done. But we would have been richer because we would have had a better start.
Exactly.
To economic development.
Right. I understand.
You see what I'm saying? Which kind of hurts us today. You know, we don't own anything, but we could have though.
Yeah.
Out the gate.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Next one. What can law enforcement do to gain back some trust from African Americans community? How can they bridge the gap? Because my personal opinion, being a black man in America, I don't care how successful you are, rich, poor, middle class, we just stereotyped and look at as a criminal suspect, no matter whether you live on the boulevard, you successful, you a business owner, you entrepreneur, you still, you know, you're a black man, you looked at as a suspect.
Right, could be, yeah.
What's your input on that?
Well, one way to bridge, that's why I said we talk about perceptions.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to change a individual's perception of another human being. So I don't know how to stop that. But we're talking about one way to bridge that gap is I like community policing. I thought it worked. I thought getting officers to one-on-one meet families and be that cop in that community, you know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about 24 hours, you know, you will have different officers that just work that certain neighborhood and certain community. And I think that in itself kind of lowers some of that anxiety, because now you know that kid, you know these people, you know that family, you know this family. You're not going to just generalize everybody with a broad brush. You know, those kids who are in gangs, you'll know them. Yeah. And you know them different from the basketball players. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. No, that's just the basketball team going to practice. No, these are the guys, you know. Yeah. You now can differentiate who's doing what because now you know, and they know you. Yeah. And I can go back from my experience once you're in that community. Now, black people, to me, man, I think we get painted with the wrong brush. We're very lawful people, man. If we start looking at it, brother, you got to look at our history. Okay. You know, when you do your research, start looking at the federal prison system, correction system. In the 40s and 50s, I'm just using those times. Gotcha. In the 40s and 50s and post 1965, 60s, the black community was safe. Talk to your grandparents if they're still living. You know, they'll talk about growing up in the. You can leave your front door open.
Gotcha.
Have I heard my grandparents say that 1,000 times?
Oh yeah, me too.
Then you leave your front door open. Ain't nobody coming up in here.
Here, that's right.
And they lived in segregation times. We lived amongst each other.
Right.
There was no foolishness.
Come on.
You climbed a neighbor, that neighbor checked you.
That's
when you
right.
came home, your parents checked you. So what does that teach us? Our communities wasn't always the hood.
That's right. That's right.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
We have flourishing black communities. But let's be real about it. Here comes 1970s.
Right.
Here comes the flood of dope into our communities.
Okay.
We didn't fly it in.
Right.
We didn't manufacture it.
Right.
But here comes all this heroin. Here comes all this cocaine. Here comes all these Uzis and guns.
Right.
And AK-47.
Right. That's right. That's
we didn't manufacture it.
That's right.
I don't know no black person who's manufacturing any guns. But here's all these guns in our community.
That's right.
And now you get the gangsterism and drug dealing and greed. And now we killing each other and blowing each other up. And there's a war zone. And now those same black communities that our grandparents loved just deteriorated.
Wow.
To nothing.
To nothing.
And that's what we have today.
That is so true.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's it's a deeper issue. It's really a black issue. You know, we got to bring that back. We got to bring economic development, and that's why my brother Dr. Claude Anderson talks about. If you ever read his books or see his videos on YouTube, he's an excellent brother, man. He talks about group economics. Yeah. And getting that community back. Here again, that's what our grandparents had in the 40s and the 50s. They had a black community. Yeah. You know, with your doctors and this and that.
That's right.
Heroes in the community, your pharmacists. They were all black. They were all black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was a black community economy within the community. So our dollars spread amongst our people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Prosperity.
And so now you don't have to do certain things. But I got a job, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing what you're doing, man.
That's right.
I'm going over here, dude. I'm working for so-and-so's meat plant. You know, processing plant. You know, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't have to do what you're doing. But now when all that's gone, everyone's not going to Harvard.
That's right. That's right.
But everybody got caviar taste.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? How you gonna get it? You know? Right. I mean, so it's a bigger problem, man. But hopefully, you know, just to recap about building that community, I think your show is one way. Just having more conversations. I think most people just want to coexist, just want to get along, just want to be treated fairly. Like I want to be treated fairly.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I just want to be treated fairly. You know, if I'm wrong, hey, write my ticket, whatever, and let me go. And then here again, I want to say, you know, the number one way a person is going to have interaction with the police is some traffic related issue.
Gotcha.
That is.
Right.
You know, just your everyday dealings. Most people not really dealing with the police.
That's right.
Let's be real with it.
Right.
You didn't work 8, 9, 10 hours. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Your kids are in school. They don't really have interaction. So really, our number one interaction with the police is like a traffic related type issue. That's something that hopefully the community and the police community can work that out. And we can get our laws involved, lawmakers involved to make those interactions, I would say, more pleasant. You know what I'm saying? More pleasant. They don't have to be what you're doing, where you go. You know what I mean? Yeah. Handle your business. If there's nothing there, just write them a ticket, let them go.
And let them go. Exactly.
You know?
All right, I want to close with this. I want to hear your truth about being a black man and a black officer in America. Jack Foster's truth.
Wow. You know, having 25 years, it's been a good career, but I could tell you something. And if I would write a memoir, it was interesting, you know, walking in the mall or seeing something and seeing black people kind of look at me like, you know, they seen, you know, now they're like back, you know?
Yeah.
And I wasn't used to it. I'm a neighborhood boy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not used to that, man. You know, I'm not saying they treated me like the enemy. I'm not saying it was that deep. But you can see that little, you know what I mean? You kind of like, you know.
Right.
And I'm thinking, hey, I'm just Jack. Hey, what up, bro? You know, you know, we back in the, the neighborhood, man. What's happening? You know, they look at me like, oh. And I was like, wow. So check this out. I'm walking in the mall, man. And I go past a mirror. I'm like, damn, there's a police. Oh, shit, that's me. I'm a neighborhood boy, man. You know, man.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
but it's so what it taught me was this. What it taught me was this, bro. What it taught me was this. Many people, now, you know, I have a background second, so I think a little deeper with it. It wasn't me personally. I took me personally out of it.
Okay.
It was the uniform.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
It was the history of that uniform.
Okay.
That people were like, I don't know how you cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Who am I gonna get? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, I don't know, but that uniform represents a history.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why I took it upon myself to be more of a historian with the game. You can't be mad at people because certain uniforms have a history.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't there.
Right, you wouldn't.
In the 60s and the 50s, but still, my uniform has a history.
That's right.
And now I got it on.
That's right. Yeah.
And so now I walk up on people, they're like, whoa.
Yeah, like they looking at you like you want to get it.
Yeah, man, what you gonna do?
Right.
I'm not gonna do anything. What's happening? You know.
Right.
But then once you start to meet people, they're like, oh, that's false. You know.
Yeah.
And then now that wall comes down and
right.
blah blah blah. But yeah, man, it's a history, man. And so that's what it taught me, man. You know. And I said, okay, now that I have the baton with this uniform on, what history am I gonna make?
Okay. All right.
For that next person.
All right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, my history, you know, with all people, I've treated people respectfully, man. That's how I want to be treated.
Yes.
Always was fair. And I'm never a nickel and dime person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from the neighborhood in me, man.
Gotcha.
I'm not a nickel and dime person,
yeah.
man. I couldn't be police to stop real crime.
Exactly. That's
not
right.
The beer in the park. Pour that out. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah, there you go.
That's me, though.
That's you.
That's me,
That's
though.
you.
I'm not the nickel and dime person.
Right.
But other folks, you know,
right.
You know how they gonna get down.
Exactly. Exactly.
So.
Man, thank you so much.
All right, man.
I enjoyed this interview. You definitely gonna have to come back. We're gonna have to talk about some more, go into some things more deeper.
Absolutely.
At a later date. I just want to thank everyone for participating, watching. I hope this was educational to you. Thank you to all the sponsors once again. Urban 360, Roxanne Frazier, my producer, Keon. Keon Pruitt. I get Keon and Pierre mixed up all the time. I used to always call them the wrong name. And Pierre Pruitt, Pure Right Cuts. Y'all go see him over there on Packard Road. To Alicia SD Photographic, to all of you, thank you so much. This was great. I hope you guys really got a lot of it. Now, join me next week. I'll be here at 12 noon. I'll be covering the Haitian Brothers documentary 19 years ago, something that took place in Pontiac that they're still dealing with. So join me next week. God bless you all. See you next week.